Welcome back to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. So I want to talk about the story that everybody's been talking about, which is the Tom Alexandrovich story and the pedo sting in Las Vegas. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I think a lot of the commentators who were talking about it on the conservative side, especially, have the wrong take on it. Not necessarily the wrong take, but not the optimal take. And so if you haven't seen the story, I'm just going to briefly go over it. Basically, they do this sting, and it's the local cops. It's DHS. It's Homeland Security Investigations and the FBI, and they're doing this sting in Vegas to catch people soliciting underage girls online. And they get 8 people. One of them is this guy Tom Alexandrovich. He works for Israel. He's been working there for 14 years, 8 years, 8 months, I believe. He's been the one of the head cybersecurity guys. He created the Cyberdome, and basically he's 2 steps underneath Netanyahu. He's got a director who he reports to, and the director reports directly to Netanyahu. And he basically gets busted going to pick up a 15-year-old girl that he met on an app called Pure, or whatever that is, and WhatsApp. And she was 15. Her profile said 18. Apparently, she told him she was 15. He agreed to take her to Cirque du Soleil. He agreed to bring condoms, but he says that she pushed for him to bring the condoms, which sounds very entrapment-y. But nonetheless, this is really not a good look. Like, you don't want to. He was born in 86 or 87, so you can figure you kind of don't want to go super close to the 18-year-old line, like, because he's a single guy. Well, I don't know. There's no reports on the internet, says Grok, of him having a wife or children. So I'm guessing he's a single guy. And so then basically they bring him in, and then he's shocked. He's saying, like, I'm calling Israel. And so basically Israel puts out a statement, and it's just completely false. Everything they said in the statement. They said he was just questioned briefly, let go, returned at the normal time. None of that's true. He was arrested. He was booked into the Henderson County Jail. He has a court hearing on the 27th. And so it's okay. Here's what's going on. Like, you got a lot of commentators like Candace Owens and stuff who just fine work, or like a Dave Smith. And they're talking about this, and they're like, man, what about this crazy special relationship we have with Israel? Okay, well, I mean, that's where you go with this, right? The problem with that is that, like, Candace's audience or Dave Smith's audience, they're not fine with the special relationship with Israel. That's already you've got them already. You're singing to the choir at that point. Now, if you have the audience type, like maybe like a Jimmy Dore, because he was the first one I saw cover this. Maybe you could use that to try to, but his audience is not pro-Israel anyways. So let me put this hypothetical to you, okay? Say you got 2 countries, U.S. and Thailand. I'm just making this up. And say people in Thailand agree to abduct kids off the streets, send them to the United States to be trafficked. And the Thailand government takes bribes and looks the other way. In the United States, you have people accepting these children and then trafficking them, say, to blackmail politicians. And the government in the United States looks the other way. Now, they're both terrible governments for doing this in this hypothetical situation, but which one is more immoral? Which one is worse here? They're both terrible. Which one's worse? Like, what do you really think about them? See, in my opinion, the government of Thailand is way worse in this hypothetical situation, because the government of Thailand's one of their sole goals, is just to protect every single hair on every children of every child of Thailand. And then more generally, they're to protect the kids of the world. Like, if China was trafficking kids through there to send them to Russia, you would try to stop that in order to help all the kids of the world. But your number one goal is to your people. And the same thing goes for the United States. But in the United States, in this case, they're Thailand children, so that goes to more your general thing of protecting children in the world. Whereas the United States focus should be on protecting the United States children. You could walk and chew gum at the same time, do both, but that's a more imperative goal. And so when you look at this Tom Alexandrovich situation, the reason why they're running stings like this is, well, to entrap people, clearly, which is legal by the courts. But like, if you're not in the market for a kid, for a 15-year-old, there's no way they're going to convince you. There's no way you can be convinced to go talk to a 15-year-old. It's zero possibility. This is something that either fills you with just open, just absolute disgust, or that you're into. There's no middle ground here. It's like, well, maybe. No. Especially with as the age goes lower and lower, it's just more and more disgust, or you're just more and more of a weirdo. And so they're trying to catch people who either have done this before or who will do it in the future, evidenced by the fact that they're doing it now. They're willing to do it now. So in this situation, in my opinion, if you take that hypothetical and you look at this situation, it's the United States' job to protect every child in the United States, right? To protect the children from the pastor who got arrested. I believe there was a cop who got arrested of the 8 people, and this foreigner from Israel. It's so what we should be looking at this situation where we're looking at, are my kids safe? Are your kids safe? Are the neighbor kids safe? Some random black kids safe? Just all the kids in the United States, are they safe? We should be, look, I don't care about Israel in this situation. We know Israel in the pedo thing, and we know about them harboring them and them delaying the extraditing 15, 20 years in some cases and harboring people. We know all about this. It's written in the Talmud. We know these things. So for my audience, we know these things. For Candace's audience, they know these things. Dave's, to some degree, they know these things. But like, the focus here should be on the failures of our government, because our government's duty is first and foremost to protect our children, and not just from Americans, but also from foreign predators as well. And so when you just say you're going to protect our children from American predators, that's good, but you're going to not do it from the foreign predators, bad. So my opinion is that we should be using this situation to berate our government. And it's like the Epstein things. I already told you, in my personal opinion, I don't think that Trump is in the Epstein files. I think he broke contact with him before the 2007 arrest and conviction. In this situation, Trump is an accessory after the fact because he's covering up bad stuff that was done at Epstein's Island. Because we know no matter what, there was bad stuff done. Whether it was filmed, whether it was blackmail, whether it was Mossad, all the speculation, we know that there was terrible stuff done, and we know that people partook of that terrible stuff. And Trump is covering up. So Kash Patel is an accessory after the fact, Dan Bongino, everybody involved who has knowledge of it, who's lying to us and saying that there's not a there, they're all guilty as minimum of being accessory after the fact. And with accessory after the fact, when I was Googling what the penalty is, it said depending on the severity of the crime. So, I mean, we're talking about potentially very severe crimes when it comes to the Epstein stuff. But in the same way, you take this Tom Alexandrovich situation, and there are people in Trump's administration who are guilty of aiding this foreigner leaving the country, because he may come back for his hearing on the 27th. He may not. We'll see. But no matter what, you shouldn't let him leave the country, because if I'm a federal investigator and the first thing I do is I sit down with a suspect, right? And he immediately says, I want to call the Israeli embassy. Wait, what? We're not giving you bail. You know, if you're going to leave the country to a country that we have problems extraditing people from. Like, imagine if I was a UK citizen and I did that and I got caught for this. And the first thing I say is, I want to call the UK embassy. No, bro, you're just saying you're going to run. You know what I mean? So, like, even I seen a thing today on Twitter, and I don't know if it was accurate or not, but it was somebody who was talking to the police who were involved, because it was the police, the FBI, and the Homeland Security investigations. And the police said they were shocked and they've never seen anything like this. They had been working with Homeland Security investigations and the FBI on various stuff, and they had never seen anything like this. And that strings were definitely pulled from above. Strings pulled from above to help a predator flee the country. I'm not sure if he'll come back. We'll see, you know. But this video will be published before the hearing. We'll just see if he comes back. But, like, somebody's got to be accountable for this, you know. Like, even just today that dropped, because this is the 20th when I'm filming this. I'll put this out in a couple days on Tuesday or whatever. It'll be like 5 days, but whatever. So, because it just whether the actual facts change, it doesn't matter. My opinion's relevant. But just today they said that the acting attorney general for the federal government of Nevada is a lady who was born in Israel, and she has declined to take the case as a federal case, leave it at a state case, so there'll be less repercussions for this guy. Now, it is going to be interesting to find out if she also takes the case of the other 7, the pastor, maybe the cop, and then the other people involved. If the federal government does pick them up, but then they let the state government handle the Alexandrovich case, that'll be telling. We'll see. But either way, there's people, and I'm sorry, Trump's the head of the executive branch. So I hold Trump responsible for this, in my opinion. Trump is responsible. If he's not, that's fine. Then he needs to do an investigation. He's the executive branch. And he needs to figure out, and he needs to say, hey, Kash, You're responsible for this. And Cash is like, no, I didn't have anything to do with this. This was a section head who did it without my authority. Okay, let's talk to that guy. And just go down the line and find out who the people were involved, who made these calls. Imagine you're the cop, okay? Or imagine you're the chief of police, whatever. I don't care who, just any American, like an American. And you're the chief of police and you get the call from Cash Patel, somebody from his office, a section chief, I don't care who, And they say, hey, you got those 8 guys? Remember that one from Israel? We need to let him go so he can flee the country. I'm sorry. I'm an American. You know what I mean? I would immediately just be like, hey, listen, I'm putting you on blast. I'm popping this on Twitter right now. I would sink my career on this. We're not letting some pedo go back to Israel. I don't even care if it's Israel. I don't care if you say France, China, Russia. I don't care where the person's going back to. The Israel part's not important in my opinion. And because it's about our government. And if the chief does say, oh yeah, bro, we got you, Cash, or whoever called him, and then he calls down to me and I'm the regular cop and they're like, hey, let this dude go. Yeah, you can have my badge and gun. Easy. I'm an American. I don't know. This is just my opinion. I think we should be berating our government over it. And we should, unfortunately, because the left is just so anti-Trump, they happen to be saying the right thing on this topic. Instead of bashing Israel, well, they are bashing Israel too, but they're bashing our government just because they hate Trump. But I think that is the right angle, because when they do bad, we got to call them on that, especially when it comes to the harming of American citizens. So let me give you another example, right? When the United States bombed Iran's nuclear facilities recently, right? What do I hone in on there? I hone in on the special relationship with Israel being terrible for us and potentially creating a greater war in the area. And we need to get rid of that friendship, right? But when it comes to something like the Iraq war, which was also caused by that special relationship, now I want to talk about the evils of our government, because I really just care about the American citizens who were there getting their limbs blown off and dying for freedom. You know what I mean? Because there's Americans being harmed. So now I want to channel it at the American government. Anyways, that's just my take on it. I'm interested in hearing what you guys think. Do you agree or disagree on this? Because I don't think they're wrong for challenging the Israel special relationship. I just think that there's a better path on this one to actually really focus in on distaste for a particular policy that the government's doing. Now, let me do something kind of different, right? At the end of this episode, I'm going to ask you guys a question, because if you stay till the end, I'm going to ask you a question about something that I really don't know the answer to. And I'm not good with single payer. I don't know about all this health insurance stuff, but it occurs to me. So it's a separate topic. I literally want your opinion on it. I had my daughter and she was in the NICU for 40 days. That came out to $250,000, right? And I don't have health care, and I didn't have health care growing up either, and this $250,000, the state I live in said, we'll pay the whole thing. And it's like, what am I to take of this? Like, in relation to considering, universal health care and stuff like that. And I understand that in a homogenous country, you could do universal health care very easily, because there wouldn't be an out group taking advantage of it. But what am I to make of this? $250,000. I couldn't have paid $250,000. I couldn't have paid a fraction of $250,000. And then previously we had my son at another hospital, which was run by a charitable institution. And they literally sent us a letter with the $250,000 bill on it from the hospital we had my daughter at it. And they said, hey, any part of this that the state won't pay, we'll pay. But I can't pay that. What if I was paying 5% state tax, right? Do you know how much money I would have to make to pay back $250,000 to put in my share to be a net positive taxpayer? The answer is $5 million. I have to make $5 million to pay $250,000 in taxes at 5%, right? And then I still don't pay for my use of the library, my use of the roads, and the other stuff that the state does. Okay, I know some of the roads are federally funded, but what I'm saying here is what's the argument that in desperate, catastrophic situations that the state doesn't pay? I just don't know. And when I was growing up, my brother had a terrible medical emergency that ended up in a coma and then brain surgery and all this stuff, just from a sickness. And I was never privy to how much that cost, but like a world-class surgeon doing multiple brain surgeries, it's got to have cost a lot. And he was in the hospital for a long time. And then there's the recuperation afterwards and all of this. And my parents didn't have healthcare for us. So we couldn't afford this. obviously, and because we had adopted previously, and then when the adopted child gets like free Medicare for until they're 18 or 21, I'm not sure the exact rule, and just as just a complete blessing, Medicare or Medicaid, whoever it was, said, hey, we'll just pay for everything on this because we can't pay for it. You know, it's catastrophic, and these are your citizens. So I just don't know what to make of this. I've just been trying to contemplate this since my daughter was born. It's like, you got, you know, like bootstraps, you know, I can't afford healthcare for my entire family. Like, I just can't, you know, we live paycheck to paycheck. I work 60 hours a week so my wife can stay home with the kids and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But like, where's the line between what we should do with healthcare when we shouldn't, when you look at these catastrophic situations, or should only catastrophic situations be covered? I'm interested in your opinion. I don't really know about the healthcare debate. And I just thought maybe somebody out there would have good insight into what the right thing. In a homogenous society, in the future utopian world, it would be very easy. You just give everybody universal healthcare. But in our current system, it's a tough situation. I just wanted to see what you guys got for input. Anyways, on Thursday's video, I'm going to do this one that shows that the Wailing Wall is not part of the Second Temple, so that it's actually anti-Christian to go wear the little funny hat and pray at the fake Wailing Wall, which is disproof that, which is there to prove that Jesus isn't God, you know? So it's just a complete slap in the face of Christians. Anyways, we're going to talk about that Thursday. Hope to see you there.